professional humorist. He's one of the many speakers in the National Speakers Association, and he is a funny guy.
My key to learning is that every one of these people in this room is awesome. Yeah! I work with every single one of you guys. All right. One thing I will bring to the table is that white men cannot dance. I think it's so interesting because that was one of the points that blew me away yesterday, is that our entire existence is built around television.
Yeah.
And we stick our kids in front of that television, and the rest of our lives we are built for 8-minute chunks.
Yeah.
And here I am under pressure and totally forget. So,
All of my friends.
all of my friends that have gone through such anxiety and depression that you felt like you couldn't get out of bed in the morning. Go.
At what age did we stop being forced to be able to be put in a timeout?
Yeah.
And why is it that we have to train the one instead of the many?
We shouldn't be doing that.
So why as facilitators and why as teachers and why as humans and parents and everything else we always go to the lowest common denominator? Instead of having the highest achieve and having everyone else being dragged to get to that highest level, we have to say, no, Nate, you're a pain in the ass, and Alice, you're this, and Mary, you're distracting and everything else. But because you're here, we have to give you your time of day. At the dismay of 99 other people, because you happen to be here. Philly tells me, here's your $1,000, see ya. I do this because everybody else wanted that training. At what point can't you put somebody in the timeout jail?
1974, June 11th, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It was the first time I heard my mother had cancer. Then I heard the words, 3 months to live. I hated that cancer. It has been 40 years and I still hate that cancer. But I learned tenacity and I learned resilience from my mother. Like the day she told the chief oncologist at Jean's Hospital that he was dead wrong. There is no way that as a mother, she was not going to be around to watch her children grow up. And he was dead wrong. My mother told this man to be fruitful and multiply. Not those words. My mother got 10 more years thanks to an illegal drug called Laetrile. And my mother got imported from Mexico because in America, thanks to big pharmaceutical, you cannot import nor produce Laetrile in America. So at great risk and great expense, we had that imported from Mexico. Anybody remember MOVE?
Oh, yeah.
The radical Black Panther group? Remote Africa, John Africa? They were the folks that imported a Laetrile for my mother from Mexico.
Wow.
Along with some other Mexican cash crops. My mother got 10 more years because of that drug. My father and I used to drive down to 62nd and Osage Avenue. That is a neighborhood that has not seen another white face since William Penn was governor. And we would drop off a bag of cash, and Derek Africa would come out and give us a bag of Laetrile. And because of that drug, 8.5 years in remission. 8.5 years in remission from an illegal drug. When the police and the mayor started a relentless pursuit of MOVE, that was the end of the Laetrile. I worked real hard growing up, and one of my dreams was to go to college at the University of Hawaii. And I did that for 3 months, for 1 semester. Because I learned that my mother's cancer had come back with a vengeance. I called up my father and I said, listen, but But if I come home and I'll run the candy store, we're not all nuts. And you can take care of Mom. That's what I did. My mother at the time had one store, and her dream was to have multiple candy stores. So in order for me to help try to kick her cancer's ass, I went out and opened up 4 more stores, and then took her dream one step further and took it national. And it was those successes, and it was that power and that conviction and that speech and those talks that my father and I and my mother would sit on her hospital bed in our living room, and we would laugh, and we would cry. I watched my mother die. And you may be wondering, where did my father, not the world's greatest businessman, come up with all that money to pay to move members? That was an illegal coupon scam. Suffice it to say, my father knew that was illegal before we even got into it. But as he always said, sometimes you got to do the wrong thing for the right reasons. As a result of that, my father did spend a year and a day in Allenwood Federal Penitentiary. And he and I would talk on his cell phone, from his cell, about what he did and why he did it. And he told me he would gladly spend 1 more year in prison for 10 more years with my mother. Now you may be wondering, where did my father get a cell phone? In prison. Just what I was thinking. You bought it for him. But that is under the federal in-a-cell, get-a-cell program. No inmate left behind. It is part of the Friends and Felons program. My father's ringtone was guard, guard! You can read all of that in a new book, 50 Shades of Shady. The most amazing part to me was we got aid without asking. And a man named Irv Homer, who was a radio personality on WWDB that our candy store, We're Not All Nuts, used to advertise on. And Irv Homer and his wife Queenie were friendly with my parents. And Irv took it upon himself to make that connection between my father and John Africa. That is aid without asking. How many people have you touched in your life without asking? How many people have touched you out of a flash of nowhere without asking? In my life, I had a 6'6" center show up in my life one day that changed my life with 3 words. I had Irv Homer, radio personality. I had John Africa, Derek Africa. Touch me for absolutely no reason. I've spent the last 30 years trying to give that gift back. That is the emotion and the power of what we are as human beings. Give from the inside out. Give aid without asking.